What's going on, everybody? It's Blandon here from Mortgage HQ, and today I want to share with you my biggest lesson in property investing. To go along with that, I'm going to share 3 small lessons so that you can avoid costly mistakes when it comes to your property investing journey. Now, property investing is an interesting art because the results can vary drastically. Some people can make $100,000 in their first year on the property. Some people might make $100,000 after 5 years. And there are some investors that can consistently make $100,000 or more on the way in on their deals. Now, back when I was looking for my first property, it was the beginning of 2015. I've been looking for 6 months straight already. Every weekend I am going to open homes. So when you guys are looking for your first home, I know how that feels. I would probably line them all up in the calendar, and then I would go to 3, maybe 6 open homes in one weekend. Sometimes I'll have Francis to come along with me, but most of the time I'm scheduling them all in and then just doing them by myself. Now, to add to that, in 2015, they were actually implementing a new rule in the banking system. Because at the time, property prices were going up and up and up. It almost looked like it was never going to come down. The Reserve Bank wanted to slow this down, and they decided they want to implement a new LVR rule, otherwise known as loan to value ratio. It's the deposit that is required for your property. If you were to buy an own occupied at the time, it requires 20% deposit, or if you have a higher income, you can use 10% deposit. For property investment, it was basically the same at the time, so that it was very easy for someone to actually get into property investing. But because the prices were going up, the bank decided they want to slow this down by making the bar higher, and they made the deposit 30% instead of 20%. So I had a pre-approval at the time to buy an investment property, and because it was my first job at the time, I needed that rental income to service the loan. And so when they said they're going to put this 30% rule within a few months, now I had to go even harder, go even faster, and look at more properties. And when that LVR rule was announced, I've already been to 8 failed auctions. Some of these auctions were selling $200,000-300,000 above what we were expecting. That was crazy. The market was so hot at the time. I was kind of at the point where I'm like just so fed up with it. I just want to get it over and done with. And with this 30% rule, it meant that I had to save another $60,000-70,000 for me to buy a property. It was just not going to happen. So I am just rushing to find something as quickly as possible. I still remember that time on that last auction when I just saw the bids going $300,000 above what we were hoping for. I felt like giving up. And I remember at the time when I went home, I just went on Trade Me, scrolling through, and there was this property that the photos were not so good. I mean, I've seen it before, and the photos weren't that attractive. It was a 3-bedroom home in Mount Wellington. At that point, I was so desperate. I'm like, okay, let's go see this property anyway. But to my surprise, when I got there, it was a cute little 3-bedroom bungalow. The ceilings were higher than the normal houses that we were seeing. And you got to understand, for us at that price range that we were shopping at, it was very hard to find anything that was nice. So most of the properties that we were looking at, sometimes really, really run down, or just really, really small in general. And so when I went to this 3-bedroom bungalow where the ceiling was higher than a normal house, it was cozy, it had solar panels, it had heat pumps. You know, the paint job was a little bit funky. Toilet needed some work, kitchen needed some work. And at the same time, I could see that it would be easily rentable. I instantly knew this one was the one I want to go bid on. At the time, I felt the location was good. It was right for Renovation's job, so I can add more value, and it kind of fit in with my pre-approval amount of $700,000 at the time. So the next day I took Frances there, and she felt the same, and it was just a couple of days before the auction. So we got the bank to approve that property really quickly, and we decided to go. Now I remember going to an auction room. I was so excited because there was only one other couple at the auction. And so when the auction started, because I want to intimidate my opponents, I just put up my hand every time I see that, wanting to just put a bid in. And we're just going back and forth, back and forth. I remember it just got up to $673,000. I was about to put my hand up again. The other couple just stopped bidding altogether. I couldn't believe it. We won at 673,000. It was an amazing feeling. I'd imagine this is sort of how you feel if you won lotto. Just because of the work we have put in, how many auctions we have failed, and how many houses we looked at and how many disappointments we've already had. So after we settled the property, we spent about $17,000 to renovate the house. We removed all the old wallpaper, did a new plaster job, and then painted the walls, removed the carpet and polished the surprise timber flooring that we had underneath, tiled the bathroom, and just tidied up the house, and we rented it out straight away on the first day that it was on the market. From a cash flow perspective, it wasn't that amazing because it was just cash flow neutral and it just paid for the mortgage. But I mean, we were happy because we were able to buy our first investment property. And so there were 3 small lessons along this journey. So the first one is that you need to understand when you're looking for an investment property or your first home, it's really important to think of it as a funnel. What I mean by this is it's all a numbers game because you need to look at a ton of listings, you need to go to a ton of open homes, and then you got to make a ton of offers. And if you think of it this way, even if you have to spend 52 weekends and it was 5 hours every week, but what I'm telling you is that by the end of it, you're going to make $100,000 net, and this property is going to keep growing at 5% every year. It's worth more than your job that you're working 40 hours in. So if you think of it as a funnel, it's a lot easier to consume and you can carry on and encourage yourself to keep doing it so you won't give up so easily. The second lesson was that when we saw this house, we saw it on TradeMe for the first time. We didn't think too much of it because the photos were not too good. So the second small lesson that I learned there was that photo deceives. Don't let the photos put you off, because sometimes when an agent, perhaps they're a bit newer in the industry, they might not do the marketing so well, meaning you might have less competition. So don't let those ones slip, because for us, we only had one other bidder against us, whereas almost every other auction that we went to had 10, 20, 30 people at the time. And the third small lesson that we learned was to do with valuation. If I reflected back to today, was that a good buy? I might not say so, but at the time it was a good buy, because when I looked at the valuation in the area, what happened was I was able to compare the valuations that was on properties that were similar. And each property actually have 2 valuations on it. One is the land value and the second being improvement value. For an older property, you might be able to pay a much lower price on the actual house itself, and you're paying for majority of land, then that is a good place to be in. Now fast track 5 years later, I've been really fortunate. I was able to recycle the equity and bought 3 more other investment properties, and I'm in the process of building a few more properties. And so here is the most important lesson, because out of the 4, I've made the least money on this first property that I bought first. And if you ask me whether or not I would go buy this property again, I would say probably not. Although I love the property, I probably wouldn't buy it again. Cash flow wise, I made no money. And capital gains, today it's worth around $800,000. So after renovations costs and the purchase price, I made about $110,000 over the 5 years. And if you average that out to an annualized capital gains percentage, it's actually around 3%. Now, I don't know if you already noticed that, but the average capital gains in New Zealand is around 7%. So what that basically meant was that I bought this property that was a low performing asset and well below the average return. And so what happened there? Why did I buy this property? If you remember, I felt the location was good. I felt there was a good opportunity for us to do renovations and improve the value. And I felt it was a good location to just rent it out really quickly. This was the biggest lesson. I based my decision on my feelings instead of justifying through numbers. What are your biggest lesson in your property journey? I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment down below for me. Now, when it comes to property numbers, there are 2 aspects to it. The first one is the actual profit and loss numbers. This is working out how much money you're actually making on the property. Is it paying for the mortgage? Are you accounting for vacancy rate? Are you accounting for maintenance costs as well? The first property that I bought, although it was cash flow neutral on the mortgages and the expenses, I didn't actually have enough money to put aside for maintenance. And what I learned today, 5 years later, is that as soon as this tenant goes out, it would be very hard for me to actually rent this house out unless I spent some money to renovate it again. Because after 5 years, the property gets wear and tears, and you'll probably just want to spend some money, renovate it, and then rent it out again. Other numbers include like your net yield. It's like a percentage on the return on the actual property, cash on cash return, how much you're getting on your money invested, and then equity margin. How much equity are you generating on the property? So that's the first thing that you need to make sure you do and learn for your property investing. And don't base it on your feelings or what you think. Justify everything through numbers and on paper. The second aspect to numbers, which I believe is far more important, is to do with finance. Because no matter how handsome the deal looked, if the bank is not going to keep funding you and keep lending you more money, it's going to be very hard for you to grow your property portfolio. So it's so vitally important for you to learn about financing numbers, how you can utilize mortgage and the current banking rules. Because what happens is, if you were investing 3 years ago and 5 years ago, the landscape with financing was so different that results built back then, and even if you bought the same properties, you can't replicate the same results. So it's very important that you stay relevant on the financing rules and you know how to play that game. Now, if you want to learn more about how you can infinitely grow your portfolio, or maybe you're just getting started, you want to look at how you can finance the next 3 properties, come join us for one of our free masterclasses in the link below. I'd love to see you there. It's on every week, and you'll be able to just tune in and pick up some new lessons for your property investing journey. Now, I also love to get your feedback on how I could improve these videos to actually provide more value for you guys. And I'd love to know what kind of topics you guys would like to see. Leave a comment down below for me. I would really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Talk soon.